What do we see when we think of the West?
American West conjures wonder, possibility, opportunity.
The West is a place where anything is possible. It is the essence of the American dream.
But many people have to pay the price of ambition and westward expansion. And everyone is willing to fight and to die for it.
Gracias por estar aquí en M2, mi querida Ivette Salgado. ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, Susi. Muchas gracias por traernos esta gran historia. Es que sí extrañábamos a una figura importante dentro del cine. Esa es Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner, que ha tomado decisiones súper interesantes en su trayectoria últimamente. Que haga lo que haga, sabemos que se va a meter con todo, ¿no? Históricamente, Waterworld, pero hace cosas fantásticas también, Field of Dreams. Y ahora, este hombre, pues que lo hemos visto además en Yellowstone, ¿no?
Ajá,
y ha hecho cosas
en tantas cosas.
Tantas cosas. Está haciendo junto con la ganadora del premio Pulitzer, grande historiadora de los Estados Unidos, Doris Kearns, una serie documental en History Channel que habla del oeste, el viejo oeste. Y tú me preguntabas, pues, ¿de qué va el viejo oeste, no? Y va mucho más allá de lo que llamamos...
De lo que conocemos en las películas de John Wayne. Me llama mucho la atención que justamente se va al origen y a descubrir y a revelar esos mitos de los pioneros, pero también de muchas cosas que ocurrían dentro de la frontera. ¿Sí? Y creo que eso nos conecta muchísimo con el contexto.
Que la frontera era otra,
por cierto. Actual.
Todo ello, la simbología que tiene el oeste, así de Go West Young Man, temas desde religiosos hasta políticos, pero también emocionales y de familia. En fin, nos fuimos a platicar con ellos a Los Ángeles, no exactamente el viejo oeste, pero por ahí pasaron, y esto nos dijeron.
First of all, I think there's a lot of tropes about history. One of them is that only the winners get to tell it. Would you agree with that about the West?
No, but I think I think I understand what you're saying, that for a long time that's how it lasts. But you know, the truth prevails if we're willing to search it out, if we're willing to go deeper and not accept just one person's version. Right. So I think you're half right. And we've experienced that. And because you're half right, I think we're obligated to go, wow, we can't do that.
Winston Churchill once said, history's going to be kind to me because I intend to write it. So I think people who wrote about the West in the last, centuries wrote it from the perspective of the winners. But we're trying to say, and that's why we have a whole range of historians and a range of experts who've studied it. We have Native Americans speaking, and we have the storytelling speaking, hopefully that it's telling all sides of the story and not the winner's side only. But there is a tendency for that to happen.
There is another thing I realized. I went to school in Mexico. I got the California story totally different. Now I see all perspectives with this, and I love that it's there. It's the first time I see something made here that tells the rest of the story.
We are linked. Our country, there aren't real borders. We just made them up. But what people were, if you think about California, it was the Native Americans. Then it was the Spaniards came, and then the Mexicans, and then the Americans, and the whole time it was the Native Americans' land.
Isn't it amazing, though, how somebody can be like a great legend in the country? I'm thinking of Joaquin.
Murrieta.
Joaquin Murrieta. And maybe like a villain in another history. So I think this makes us more human, to understand that everybody gets their own perspective through their experiences. Is that one of the reasons you wanted to tell?
That story is so fascinating because this Joaquin Murrieta was considered the Robin Hood, in some papers, a hero, and then he's a serial killer in another place, and they finally kill him, or think they do.
Yeah.
And how those tales can be told in different ways. That's part of, there's something about the West that generates tall tales.
And it always feels, when you talk about history, that you're constantly just scratching the surface. It really is. We're telling this story, but the whole world's swirling around this moment. Affected the moment just as much as the individual acts.
Sure. Can you tell, do you remember the moment that the West caught your attention for it to be such a recurring topic in the way you tell stories?
I kind of remember being affected when I thought the costumes looked right and the landscapes looked right, not repeated like our little Western towns and our Chatsworth and blah blah blah. When I even as a child, I felt like I could tell the difference of something that felt authentic, at least coming away with it. It might be horrific, it might be something that makes us ashamed, but boy, are we in a better position to make decisions about anything when we have good information. And that is the hardest thing for us to get right now in the world we're living in. Let it not be the hardest thing for us to get when we're in the classroom trying to teach people history.
That's amazing because it's true. There's so few places left that we can really know that we're not getting the algorithm's version of things or whatever is going to make you mad and rage. This is one of the places I know I can come to. History Channel, and obviously with you in the helm, with both of you in the helm.
God forbid we shortchange history and we take a shortcut on it and we don't tell the truth. It's so easy. There's nothing at stake telling the truth about history. Why not get to it?
And the thing is, if you tell it the way it was, you're learning. You're learning from mistakes. You're acknowledging them. You're growing. You know, you can't grow from something static. And we can look back at these periods of time and say, what went right? What went wrong? Could it have been different? But history gives you empathy. It gives you understanding. It gives you hope. It gives you solace. I mean, I'm so sad about it not being taught as well as it was in the old days. It's less, you hear about classrooms teaching it less in high school. But the great thing about a documentary form is that you've got a whole way in which to engage. It can visually engage them, the music can engage them, the words that the historians are saying can engage them. So sensually, it surrounds you in a way that, I mean, even though I spent my life reading and writing books, that doesn't quite do in the same way. So that's why I've loved getting involved in this in the later stages of my life.
I love it. And you're being there, you're narrating, you're hosting, that's engaging. That's really engaging. Now, do you realize the impact that this will have on new generations that probably wouldn't get the story this way if you weren't in it? If somebody like you with your prestige and career.
Thank you.
Well, it's the truth.
Well, I think I think we earn our place somehow, and if it's a place where people have a level of trust, it's because you've had to try to create that trust and been consistent with it. And you know, I really don't know how to answer. It was flattering.
Well,
So just smile pretty and then look good.
well,
Okay, Doris. I will. Watch this.
you two have a great friendship, right?
It's been wonderful working with him, absolutely. You can imagine.
I can immediately tell. But also I think that there's something very interesting about the way you tell these stories, because we go with like real people. And I think that's so important. Sometimes we just hear like the overall and we're like, well, I can't relate to that.
Yeah.
But you talk about specific people, young people, older people, natives, the people who are coming in, and we hear their names and the reasons to be where they are. Was that a choice, or was there no other?
I mean, that's the way history should always be told. I mean, I think if history's told right, everybody would love history. I mean, it's about people who lived before, who had conflicts, who had dreams, who had hopes. People say you just memorize names or facts.
Yeah.
Facts matter, but not unless they're in a context, so you care about the people, and then you'll care about when it occurred. So what I'm proud of in this series is it goes for a long period of time, a whole century, from the 1790s to the 1890s, but it's told by individual stories so that you're captivated, and then each story builds on the other, and suddenly you've gone through a century. If you try and tell it as a broad thing and people are talking in abstractions, it's not going to hit the emotions, and you've got to get people's emotions to get them interested. But good history does that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see injustices, you know, in our stories, and maneuvering. You see it all, and what you're seeing a single story. But what you realize that story, because we're happened millions of times, over and over and over again, like a bad joke, over and over. The same story we just watched of somebody who's marginalized, somebody who was accused of something they didn't commit because somebody just coveted their land. And then in history, they go down as somebody that had to fight for the rest of their life. And then there's a version of who they were. That Murrieta was a version on both sides. There was two ideas about who this man was.
We can learn about what's going on today, comparing it to this, because I saw a lot of parallels, not to go with a specific theme on the news now, but I saw so many parallels. Have we learned anything?
I think what we learn is empathy. It's the quality that feels like it's missing most in America today, an understanding of other people's point of view. We look at people that are different from us and they seem like the other rather than us. And if you look at this series, you're going to feel empathy for all the various people involved.
Yeah.
You feel empathy for the settlers who go there not thinking they're going to be involved in a conflict with the Native Americans. They're going there to make a better life, and yet they get caught in it and they want the land. You see the missionaries, they dream that they're going there to Christianize the people, and then they end up getting killed, some of them, for what was happening. And then you see the soldiers. I mean, you see them from all different points of view. That's why a collection of stories, I think, creates empathy, and I think we need that in this country more than anything right now.
Is a big problem.
The governor creates the Rangers.
Their principal tools are violence and murder.
If America is moving west, there's a seam that opens up between the free states and the slave states. It's a defining moment in the history of America.
These stories will captivate us and shock us. Now it's time to come face to face with the real story of our wild past.
Un privilegio, gracias siempre a History Channel. La verdad es que es un placer poder tener estas pláticas con tiempo, con calma.
Exactamente.
Aprender.
¿Y con qué figuras?
¿Y con qué figuras? De verdad, la fama puede ser muy interesante, pero lo que hace la gente con su fama, creo que eso es lo que vale la pena compartir.
Y aquí con quien está compartiendo precisamente Guau de Mujer.
Sí,
o sea,
fantástica, Doris. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Susi.
Y gracias a todos ustedes por acompañarnos. Hasta pronto.